All right, today's date is Monday, January 11th, 1/11/2021. We're on lesson 6-4 today, inequality word problems with two variables. This is our second to last lesson of this unit. It is a shorter unit. Both today's lesson and tomorrow's lesson are word problems. So tomorrow's like the harder version of today. Today's just getting you ready for tomorrow. Yeah, so you guys have already been copying these problems down. Does anyone want to read example number 1? Yeah, Ripley.
Wyatt has $134 of birthday money to spend on video games and Star Wars action figures. Each game costs $20 and each action figure costs $15. Write an inequality that represents the number of video games and action figures that Wyatt can buy with his birthday money.
There it is. Yeah, thank you. All right, and the whole purpose of like the change from previous units to this unit is we have two variables now. We have V and A. So somehow I'm going to combine V. I'm probably going to be adding it with A somehow, and I have to use all these numbers. I see that the action figures are 15, games cost $20, and he had $134 of birthday money. So how do we combine everything into an inequality? Again, like a less than or greater than or something like that, not an equal to sign. Are there any ideas for what we could do for this one? So I can give you guys a hint because it doesn't look like, oh yeah, Giorgio?
Would it be like 134 has to be greater than or equal to like 20A or 15V, or other way around on letters?
So 20A or V?
20V.
20V. And then what do I do with the 15A? Am I adding that?
Yeah, plus 15A.
A. Okay, how'd you get that? Like, or why does that make sense?
Because if you were adding up how many like games or action figures you can get, it has to be under $134.
Yeah, so all the stuff that he's going to buy, he can't exceed $134 because he doesn't have that much money. So all the stuff on the right-hand side is on the back side of the alligator, I guess, if the alligator is chomping to the left. So in terms of the inequality, that does make sense. He can spend all of his $134, so it can be an equal to sign. And then 20 is the number that's attached to video game or each game, and we said that game is going to be represented by a V for video game. And then $15 for action figures, and action figures is A, so 15A. So there's a lot of reading that's going on in this problem. But that is the correct answer. And you could have written it the other way around. You could have had it on the other side. So if I want to write the other answer, it could have been 15A plus 20V is less than or equal to $134. Both of these are 100% correct solutions. So some keywords that will help in this type of problem is the word each. Whenever you see the word each, that means it's a slope. That means you're going to be multiplying something like $20 for each game. That means $20 times the game. In this case, it's going to be 20 times V. So the word each really helps you figure out, okay, these two numbers are going to be multiplied together. So each means multiply. 20 times the video game, 20 times V. And then in order to figure out this inequality symbol, it's just really reading the problem and understanding what it's asking for. So you guys can also use the private chat to answer this question. On a fist of 5, how well do you understand how to do example 1? If I change these numbers around, would you still be able to get the right answer? We get a 4, 5, 5, 4. Haven't heard from Zeke, Ashley, or Haiti. There's Ashley and Zeke, 3 and 4. Haiti, are you okay? All right, 4. All right, let's move on to example number 2. A little bit longer of a problem. Can someone read right up to this equation? So like this entire piece up here. I'd like to give it to someone other than Ripley, but if no one else wants to do it, anyone else?
I will.
Anyone else? Yeah, go for it.
They decided to install solar panels on the roof of her house. The box that the solar panels came in and state that they can generate power of up to 450 kilowatts per day. It generates power at a constant rate when the sky is cloudy and a constant rate when it is sunny. Let C represent the number of hours when the sky is cloudy and S when it is sunny.
Perfect. Okay. So we know that the maximum is 450, and we can even see that in the equation down here. Maximum is 450. So all of the energy that's generated has to be less than that amount because that's the maximum. And it tells us, okay, C is for cloudy, S is for sunny, and you can see the number that's attached to cloudy is much smaller than the number attached to sunny, which makes sense, right? If you're sunny out, you should be generating more electricity. All right, so let's read these questions then. At what rate do the solar panels generate power when it's cloudy? And in the last problem, we had the word each. Each meant slope or the number multiplied. In this case, you have this word rate. Rate just means what is that number in front of that variable. So units aren't super important. I know in science they're super important. We'll put units just to make sure that we're doing it correctly. I know Mr. Brown always is mad at Mr. Sindell's not teaching you units, so I'll try to do a better job. Any ideas on what the rate is for cloudy? Those are two kind of keywords from this question. It's just only looking at this inequality. Just judging from that inequality, how fast are you going to be generating power when it's cloudy out? Yeah, Alden?
It's gonna be like times 8. And that's how fast you're gonna be generating power.
Exactly, yeah. So, and it's not, it's going to be 8 kilowatts per hour because it says C is number of hours and then our units are kilowatts. So if I was being specific to help Mr. Brown out here, it's 8 kilowatts per hour. But again, units aren't super important. Like I'm not testing you on that in the quiz or the test, but it's kind of nice to know. What about the rate of the solar panels when it's sunny? So again, it's still a rate, but instead of cloudy, I'm changing it to sunny. And maybe I didn't go in depth enough to why the answer was 8 for the last one. Maybe that's why we're having trouble. Alden, do you mind explaining why the answer was 8 in this last question?
Because in the equation, it's 8C. So it's going to be 8 times C. And C is whatever like the number is when it's cloudy.
Yeah, 8 is the rate, is the coefficient. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we used up the C. Now pay attention to the S. S means sunny. What is the rate that the solar panels are generating electricity when it's sunny out? Diego, you want to give this? Oh, never mind. I see Ashley's hand. Yeah, Ashley.
40?
It is 40, yeah. It's the coefficient of the S variable. So we'll say 40, and then to have our units, we'll say kilowatts per hour. Kilowatt per hour. I think there's kilowatt hours. I don't actually know the difference between kilowatts per hour and kilowatt hours. Anyway, last question. Do solar panels exceed its maximum capacity when it is are when the sky is cloudy for 2 hours and when it is sunny for 10 hours. That's a long day, sunny for 10 hours and cloudy for 2 hours. Okay, so what are we going to do here? It's asking, is this inequality still true if we plug these numbers in? How do I plug those in? Can someone tell me how to rewrite this inequality, but in the place of C and S, I substitute specific numbers in? Yeah, Diego.
2 would go in place for 8. So it would be 2C.
Not quite. So 2 is C. So you'll say 8 times 2.
8 times 2.
Yep. And keep going.
And then it would be plus 40 times 10. Is
Perfect. And
less
then,
than or equal to 450.
nice. Do you mind doing the multiplication as well? 8 times 2.
Yeah, 8 times 2, 16. 40 times 10, 400
Mhm.
is less than or equal to 450.
You can keep going. These are easy problems, right? So it's still going to be less than or equal to 450. What number do we have on the left-hand side?
416.
And what conclusion can you draw?
That is
Do
solar panels exceed its solar panels do not exceed their maximum capacity.
exactly. Yeah. So you can come down here. Go ahead and just type with slightly bigger font. I'll say no. Solar panels do not exceed its maximum or their maximum. That's its maximum capacity. Nice. Because if it exceeded the maximum capacity, that would mean that this number is bigger than the maximum capacity that it said on the box. Remember, it stated on the box that it can generate up to 450, which maybe it could exceed that if you were like living in Alaska or something where you could have sun for, I don't know, 15 hours, right? All right, so slightly different types of questions for example 2. You guys want to give me a quick fist of 5 for example number 2? I'm seeing a 4, a 5, a 4, a 5, a 4. Got a 4 in the chat. Okay, let's move on to our final example. So I'll zoom in here. Example number 3. Ooh, the school fundraiser. All right, a final reader. Ripley again, yes, please.
Charles is in charge of a school fundraiser that sells hamburgers and hot dogs. The goal of the fundraiser is to raise $600. Let B represent the number of hamburgers and let D represent the number of hot dogs.
There it is. And then we have our inequality. And we only have one question this time. And so we're going to assume that Charles sold 35 hamburgers and he's out of hamburgers. And he needs to sell enough hot dogs so that he can achieve his goal. How many more hot dogs does he need to sell? This is very similar to example number 2, except there's a bit of math that happens after you do stuff. I see some people have an idea because they're working on it, or maybe they're just copying down the problem. What should we do? All right, looks like we're in need of a hint. So if these variables B and D represent the number of things. Like it says B is the number of hamburgers and D is the number of hot dogs. And it tells us the number of hamburgers. There are 35 hamburgers. This 35 can be plugged into either B or D. So plug into the correct one. And then after you plug in, you'll need to solve for the remaining variable. So who can walk me through that process? I described the general way of doing it, but someone's going to give me the specifics. Oh, you plug 35 in for this variable, Mr. Sindel, and then do this and this. Someone please help. Yeah, Giorgio.
Charles has to sell at least 23 hot dogs.
That is correct. Can you walk us through your process?
I basically kind of just went through a bunch of different numbers until I got to like, I basically plugged and then see if I could get the closest just above 600.
Okay, yeah, that's a
That
valid
was
strategy.
23.
Yeah, and probably using a calculator is a good, helpful way to do that. Do you know of an algebraic way to do it? No? Okay, that's fine. And there's more than one way to solve a problem. That's a perfectly valid way. Although I could think of a much harder problem with things that are in the thousands and stuff that would make things a lot harder to do that process, which is why I want to teach you guys the algebra as well. Anyone have an idea of how to do this algebraically? Yeah, Alden?
You would put in the 35 hamburgers and you would times that by 12.
Perfect. I'll just rewrite everything else. 8D is greater than or equal to 600. So all we've done so far, 35 has been plugged in for capital B. All right. And then we have to do 12 times 35, which is the same thing as 10 plus 2 times 35. 10 times 35 is 350, because whenever you multiply by 10, you just add a 0. And then 2 times 35 is 70. So 350 plus 70 is 420. So $420 from making hamburgers, or from selling hamburgers. And we rewrite everything else, plus 8, capital D, is greater than or equal to 600. All right. Alden has the first step. I need another step. Someone else. We're trying to solve for capital D because that will tell us the number of hot dogs Charles needs to sell. Yeah, Giorgio's back. Go for it.
I wasn't raising my hand.
Darn it. All right. I haven't really heard from Haiti or Zeke yet today, if they want to try. I see that Giorgio is indeed raising his hand, but I'm still going to give first preference to Haiti or Zeke if they want it. Give them a chance.
You would have to find out what D or what the amount of hot dogs would be for D, and then multiply that and move from there.
Yeah, you could do it that way. And that's kind of the guess and check method, right? Where you just plug in, let's try 5, let's try 10, and you keep going higher and higher until you get the right answer. What about algebraically? Like if I was just solving for D, if this was an equal to sign, what would I do to both sides to try to isolate D?
Oh, you would divide 8D by both sides. Or just
You would,
8.
yeah.
You would,
Did-
or would you divide 8 by both sides or subtract it?
Subtract 8, so 8.
You would divide 8 by both sides, right?
Yeah, so every single thing can be divided by 8. So all 3 of these divide by 8, divide by 8, divide by 8. And does 600 evenly divide by 8? 600 divided by 8.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's going to be 75.
Thank you. Yeah, so we'll have 75 is So this symbol is still a greater than or equal to. On the left-hand side, we have the D isolated because the 8 and 8 cancels out. 420 divided by 8, 420 divided by 8 is 52.5. So 52.5. All right, we're almost there. Last up, Haiti, please help us. Right now, D is being added to 52.5. How do I undo add 52.5 to both sides?
I subtract.
So if I subtract 52.5, subtract 52.5, that was a terrible 5. Let me rewrite that. And then our D is isolated. So you're going to still make the final conclusion, Haiti, but I'll do the math for you because I have Spotlight Search. Nice and handy. 75 minus 52.5 is 22.5. 22.5. I know Giorgio already said the answer, but Haiti, how many hot dogs does Charles need to sell? Obviously, if he sells 100, he'll definitely be 100 is more than 22.5. But what is the lowest number of hot dogs he can sell to still achieve his goal of selling $600 worth of food? What's a number greater than 22.5? Haiti, help us.
I don't know.
What is a number greater than 22.5? The next whole number.
25.
You can go even lower because 24 is an answer, and I can go even lower still.
22.
26.
Oh no, 23.
23, exactly, yeah. So 22 would be a little bit too low. It has to be bigger than 22.5. So the next biggest number is 23. Oop, that's a 27. 23 hot dogs. And I can't write for the life of me. Dogs. There we go. And there's our final answer. Cool. And we are officially done with notes.